and welcome to Chicago Tonight. I'm Eddie Arruza. I'm Eddie Arruza. I'm Eddie Arruza. I'm Eddie Arruza.
Yo soy Eduardo Arruza. Gracias por su sintonía.
Thanks for joining us. Here's what's happening in Chicago tonight. Former Congressman Mel Reynolds is in federal prison tonight. Reynolds was taken into custody after he was unable to find a place to live while on electronic monitoring. Bears fans endured another brutal Sunday. This time the pain was inflicted by the Seattle Seahawks and resulted in the Bears' first shutout loss in 13 years. Mr. Mayor, I know that you're keeping your optimism in all of this, but aren't you pinning a lot of hopes on what's coming out of Springfield?
If Springfield was normal, you would never see a labor agreement.
You have an ally in Mr. Madigan. You have a friend in Mr. Rauner. You say they're holding the city of Chicago hostage, but
I didn't say they.
Are they holding you hostage?
Next Tuesday could be the beginning of an explosive trial involving the Chicago Police Department. That's when two officers head to federal court claiming police officials retaliated against them for being whistleblowers.
Just a short while ago, the New York Times and CBS released a brand new poll saying that more Republicans are falling in line behind the presumptive Republican nominee. 8 in 10 Republican voters said their leaders should support Mr. Trump. Are you falling in line behind Mr. Trump?
No, I'll never vote for Donald Trump.
This is your first time visiting us, actually in 2 years, so it's the first time since the Laquan McDonald video has been released. And again, there have been many questions raised about the length of time that the investigation took. There's even been questions about whether there has been a cover-up. Can you answer to any of those, of why it may have taken as long as it did, and then the officer only charged after that video was ordered released?
So I can only speak for my office, and my office has an ongoing investigation.
Over the years, many Illinois politicians have been sentenced at the Dirksen Federal Courthouse, but few, if any, of those sentencings were as emotionally wrenching and revealing as the one today. So when he pressed Dennis Hastert to actually say the words, or at least say the word yes to sexual abuse, was the judge really going a little too far?
Again, I don't think so.
Everybody's sick right before they're about to be sentenced.
But let's be clear, he's not being sentenced for any alleged sexual abuse or any misconduct of that sort. He's going to be sentenced for inappropriately withdrawing money that was allegedly hush money. So, Natasha, is the fact that these allegations seem to be getting confirmed from decades ago going to have any impact on how he's sentenced?
I think they absolutely have an impact.
Well, let's talk about the Cubs. They have the best record in baseball, despite having lost this doubleheader to the lowly Padres this week. So what's it going to take for them to keep up this pace?
Next game.
Welcome back, Ann. Nice to see you.
Thanks, Eddie.
So the Big Mac might come in more than one size this summer. Tell us what McDonald's is up to.
They are playing with the signature product on McDonald's menu.
When NASA said last week it would be making a big announcement today about a major discovery on Mars, the anticipation reached fever pitch. Some space fans were hoping it was about discovering life. But the announcement, accompanied by these stunning images, was about something almost as significant as finding life. And one of the conclusions that you talk about in the book is that decision-making at that level should be based on fact and not wishful thinking. What were you referring to?
Well, I was referring specifically to Neville Chamberlain, who was the Prime Minister of Great Britain at the time.
Last week, when President Obama said that the private sector is doing just fine, it caused a firestorm of reaction.
He stumbled over what he meant to say, which is true, is that actually private sector employment is up.
At this point in your career, and you will have something of a landmark birthday this year, I won't reveal which one, are there still new challenges for you, or is every role still a challenge?
Oh, I think every role is still a challenge.
When you were imprisoned, you were calling for the removal of President Mugabe, preferably through elections, but you said if he doesn't go, he must go violently, or words to that effect, and you were jailed for treason.
Yeah.
Were you calling for his assassination?
No. There were two incidences. Firstly, there was that statement that if you don't go peacefully, you will go violently. It was a prediction. It was not a statement of intent.
So Roosevelt took on the unions, took on the corrupt politicians, took on big business, regulation, the oil company, the railroads. But this is not at all what the Republican establishment had thought would happen when they got rid of him from the New York State Assembly. really. They thought they were just sending him to the vice presidency to chill.
Absolutely right. I mean, they were worried about what he'd already been when he was a state legislator, when he was a governor. He was a reformer even as a young man.
Here's the question. That film is based on an incident that happened in 1976 where Paul McCartney went to see John Lennon after years of not talking to each other.
Yes.
But this film is mostly fiction.
Fictional.
Have you asked Paul what happened at that meeting?
Let me see if I can say this without betraying any confidence. I don't think Paul would mind if I said this. Yeah, I remember I did ask him, and he said, I wish we had said some of the things that you said to each other.
Well, Renee, here we are on the set of Bel Canto, the opera that you curated for Lyric Opera Chicago. The premiere is in a little over 4 months. What can you tell us about it?
I'm so excited. This is the first time I've seen the set. It's beautiful.
Your dad seemingly got along with everyone except for possibly one person.
There were a few people.
Bennett Cerf,
Bennett
the
Cerf,
founder
Elia
of
Kazan.
Random House.
Yeah, Bennett Cerf would take my dad's columns sometimes and print them in books as if they were stories that he gathered on those cold winter nights going from place to place.
Hola y bienvenidos a Ventana a Chicago, su programa comunitario en el cual le damos una vista a los acontecimientos y la actualidad en la comunidad latina. Bueno, esto no fue una gira, una visita de Estado, no se reunió con el presidente Bush, pero Alejandro Escalona, ¿cómo tú caracterizas esta visita del presidente Calderón?
Yo creo que en términos generales fue positiva.
Quedan pocos días para que el país elija un nuevo mandatario y se ha dicho que el voto latino será crucial para el candidato que busca la victoria. ¿Quién está alcanzando mejor a la comunidad latina con sus comerciales? ¿Es Barack Obama que está gastando más o John McCain con sus propuestas de inmigración y su relación con la comunidad latina? Ahora le traemos un segmento del documental Revolución 5 Visiones. Es una película que presenta la obra fotográfica de 5 artistas cuyas fotos ofrecen una mirada profunda a Cuba y su revolución. Now that the mayor has given it his seal of approval, the plan appears to be a done deal. Next week, the proposal goes before the Chicago Plan Commission, the members of which are all Emanuel appointees. Just last week, St. Adelbert got some major recognition when Landmarks Illinois placed it on its list of most endangered historic places. The preservation group says it acknowledges there are many challenges facing this century-old structure, but it urged the Archdiocese and community to work together to try to save it. The new theater sits on the former site of the Women's Library Club of Glencoe, which still owns the land, but is leasing it to Writers Theater at the rate of $1 a year for the next 99 years. While Michigan's funding system has improved things for the poorer districts in the state, it hasn't entirely leveled the playing field. For example, schools here in Grand Rapids receive a little over $7,100 per student. But only 3 blocks away in the more affluent East Grand Rapids neighborhood, students there receive $5,000 more apiece. Another neat feature is that the seat backs were adjustable, so a group of passengers could sit facing each other. There was another feature of the train. It was called dynamic air conditioning, which means on hot days like today, you open the window for fresh air.